You'll like her.
In the boss one, I'm gonna get mine. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't tell me how you all down. When you smile in my face, but you're bleeding like a clown, it's your fool bitch. So just step back. I'm a mad dad when I come down straight. I'm going to run my face, but you're bleeding me out. Now I'm mad as hell, and I'll pull it down. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's go. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's go.
Jim, I copied that newspaper article that Lefty posted of you and Cheryl from a long time ago. Okay, so I have it. So you don't have to resend it to me. Jim, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. I copied that newspaper article of you and Cheryl from a while ago, so you don't have to resend it to me. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I downloaded it, so it's good.
I don't hear his sound. You hear the
Comes and goes.
Can you hear the music?
I can barely hear the music.
Really?
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
And I can see through you too, Lefty.
Oh, I could see through him the whole time.
Can you hear the music?
Yeah, barely, but it's like
Barely.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How about now?
Getting serious here too. I get the work plugs on.
Is that better?
No.
Who you wanna roll with? 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 Roll with. Come on. I could hear myself singing better than that.
Yeah, I could too.
Yes, I hear you fine. Lefty, say something.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah.
Great now.
Interesting. I'm having some audio issues tonight. I don't know what's going on here.
I can't help.
Isn't there like some kind of like crazy solar flare right now?
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And aren't we supposed to see like a colorful sky tonight too?
I heard in California they're going to see, they're going to see some lights from the.
And I heard here too.
Oh yeah, well, I mean it's solar flare.
Yeah.
I guess we're all going to get it, but it might be more disruptive there. Yeah, that's good. I could pretty much blame anything I want on that for the next 24 hours, maybe.
Yeah, we could.
Phone didn't work. I didn't hear you call. Could have been the solar flare. You don't get that a lot, That throws people off. But why am I looking for an angle? Am I that type of person? See, that indicates that I am. So I got to watch.
You are. You're devious.
I got to watch what I say. There, I'm starting to wake up.
That's only good.
Boy, that's a weird looking picture. It looks like AI generated Lefty there.
Yeah.
Bulbous nose and whoa.
Scary teeth.
Yeah.
Now he's sideways.
They got him.
There he goes.
So our guest sounds pretty interesting.
She is.
But yeah, if she's has dealings with cannabis and mental health therapy, then I would think she knows a bit about psilocybin for mental health therapy, because that's pretty much all psilocybin is going to be used for. And I got to
What else
remember,
there's nothing else you could use it for.
right? This is like
Is
a
Neek
metaphor.
going to be up to Neek focuses just on cannabis.
Right.
Although she's, she may talk about psilocybin, I don't know.
Oh no, I was just because for post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, but she does research, so
Yeah.
Even though she does work, though she works with psychiatric patients in a hospital.
Yeah, I saw that.
She's also going to go maybe look into start working with ECT, electroconvulsive shock therapy.
Oh, really?
Don't look so scared. I've had it. It's
No,
not scary.
Wasn't that One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or something?
Yeah, that was me.
That doesn't scare me. Why would it? I like drooling.
I don't know how many times I had it. I agreed to be in a study when I did it. So, and I had this really, really awesome doctor. He was such a cool guy, and he kind of walked me through it, because I was real hesitant with agreeing to do that. But the way he explained it to me and all, he made me feel comfortable, and it really was that fast. It was just boom. They put me on a stretcher. Put a line in me, and I went behind the curtain. And when I came out, I was me.
But what happened behind the curtain? Did you
Behind the curtain, they put me to sleep for all of the 2 minutes that it takes to, they shock your brain the same way that they shock your heart.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, because it's all electrical impulses, right?
Okay.
Our heart and our brain. So that's it. They just go dip, and then you wake up, because they give you propofol.
So what was the difference between when you went out and woke up minutes later? What was the difference?
There wasn't. I couldn't even tell you. Did you ever have a colonoscopy?
Yeah.
And they put you down, you wake up so fast?
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so
but after that, I mean, okay, say an hour later, I don't notice anything about the colonoscopy. What would you have noticed an hour after waking back up? Did you notice things were clearer? You were less anxious or anything? Did you notice a difference? Pretty shocked.
I probably was, as time went on, less anxious.
Oh, so okay, so it's not like an abrupt change with the shock.
No, it's actually a very gentle therapeutic module to use. Now that they have it, down pat, and people aren't as afraid of it as they were. And it's quick. It's you're not putting anything into your body, really. And just like I said, they shock your heart, they shock your brain. It's all the same.
This seems like such a fragile existence in the brain that it's like a spinning top, and you just touch it a little, and what happens?
No, and that wasn't the case at all. Okay. And then when I was reaching, he had told me I was done. Just like when I went to a therapist, she graduated me too. She was like, "Okay, you're done." I was like, "I am," but it was the same thing. And he said, "You're good. You're good to go." And I was a little bit nervous about that part. I was like, okay, so what's it going to be like when I don't get this every 6 weeks? And then COVID happened, so I didn't have a choice. So it was nothing.
No, okay. Yeah, I'm still not going to do it.
No, I don't think you should. But I was their success story, which was good because I really, it wasn't like I went in stark raving lunatic,
Yeah, yeah.
So it was an okay kind of thing to do, It worked. I don't know. I highly recommend it.
Hmm.
I think we had a guest on here too that he also I thought he shared that he did the same kind of therapy. Anyway, he had the same experience I did. And I don't want to say his name since I can't remember if he said it on here or not. But if you think about it, you'll figure it out. All right, you don't have to think that hard.
I was saying thanks for the confidence, but I was just thinking, have I ever heard anybody say that to me? If you think,
Yeah, because I talked about it before.
Yeah,
we've talked about it before.
I don't get the confidence. You'll think about it. I guess. What the hell? How can you not remember, Jim? It was just 5 minutes ago. No, I'm good with 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think that's our age too. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what? This is what I always thought. I always thought, we just have so much room in our brain to remember things.
Yeah.
Like not for nothing. Like, do we really, we remember the important things and then let the other stuff go? Because for what?
I think we don't stretch that part of the brain out. The important stuff, I think I probably think about more often. But if there's something in my life that I didn't think about for 10 years between the time I was 15 and 25, if I didn't think about it when it happened before, I may not have any memory of it. I'm always surprised how people I was very close to can remember either different things about something we both went through together or remember it differently. And then I got to assume that if it's him and me, it's 50-50. Am I remembering it wrong? And then, when I find out I did remember things wrong, like I have a memory of something.
Hi, Marina. Marina's saying hi. Hi, everybody.
I'm waving.
This is not
Seth.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
Anyway, it's like that's why the time I'm spending trying to remember carefully about things that were 25 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting process drawing things out and then putting things on one side of the line or the other. Like this is and then I start like Google Earth and look at what I remembered, how long of a walk was that, and I look at it. Or wait a second, that the parking lot where we walked in the back door, walked into a secure building, NIDA, only because of how Cheryl looked in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
And coming up from behind a building where you park behind it, and normally people would walk around the sidewalk to the front and walk in the main door. Right. But there's a door at back that like smokers use, So somebody was coming out to, I guess, have a cigarette out the back door, and we were walking up towards it on the sidewalk that would then, we were going to go around, but I'm walking on the sidewalk, wheelchair. So a person came out, and I was first, and the others were behind me. And when they opened the door, they held it open. Well, sure, let's go in here. We went in. So our ragtag crew, led by Dana Beal, we walked around for like 5 minutes and didn't see anybody. We were just wandering around a secure building, and then we got this, hold on, who are you? What? We put our hands on a wall or something? It was kind of funny how inept they were with their rules. But anyway, I had to check that out. My point was, and it was real close to the way I remembered it, but not quite. And it just so far though, the things that I'm dealing with that what I'm talking about, I want to remember accurately. It's getting clearer and clearer and easier. Thing is, I need to be at it like every day. If something happens and I miss it, actually it dims a little. So
Yeah.
It's a very interesting process, you know. I'll talk to you
Yeah.
about it later. Though.
Yeah, we'll talk later.
Oh,
Hi, Neek.
I didn't even look down.
Hi there.
Neek.
Neek,
Hi.
this is Jim to your left. To your left.
It's like the Brady Bunch.
And
Where am
then
I?
there's
Am I in the corner?
Lefty
All right.
at the top.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
point. Wait.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
And that's Dr. Neek.
I don't have.
We were just talking about a little bit about ECT. I was just trying to explain to Jim that it's not really, as crazy as an experience as people like to think it is.
Well,
No.
you hear shock and brain, and like I was saying, I think Jack Nicholson and the Cuckoo's Nest, But that's where I have obviously a lot of a learning room here, and of course Sue Bernie assuring me, it just sounds so almost innocuous compared to what would, so.
Think about how long ago that movie was made, though.
Oh, I know. I don't like to think about that, because then how old does that make me? Maybe I like to
Well,
think.
yeah, I'm right there with you.
Pretty close. All right, so what am I going to learn tonight? It's all about me.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out lighting.
Can't help. Anytime somebody has to figure out anything that has anything to do with touching stuff and making.
It's like too bright.
Well, there is solar flares right now, and I'm blaming my audio issues on the solar flares.
Yeah, that's what it probably
There you go. That's what's wrong. It's the solar flares.
And if I say
And
anything,
they're supposed to affect the weather again. They're calling it what do they call it? A geometric something
I don't know.
something flare.
There was like 90 tornadoes in Florida.
I know.
Wow.
I know. I finally talked to my sister before. She's on the other side of Florida right now, because she said there's still no power over by her, because she's Fort Myers, that area.
Yeah.
And they boogied out finally yesterday, and it took them all day to get to where they were going. So you know what? She said the only thing that she knows that's wrong with her, where she lives, her house, which she's got one of those Florida cement houses, that don't go anywhere. Everything else might.
Mhm.
But she said that it didn't seem to be as crazy as Ian. Ian really did demolish them. I guess people were just a little bit more prepared this time.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I know.
So my normally I would go, yeah, well, you must have learned because of the last one, right? But lately, they must have learned. They didn't learn from it,
And they just had a hurricane 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have a brother living in Winter Haven, and
Where is that?
that's east of Tampa, probably 40 miles or so, give or take, pretty much on the same level. And his concern was, well, there's somebody they have a prefabricated house, so it's not that kind.
Yeah.
And other people had that much sturdier version, plus a large, long-lasting generator, an extra room, food, and everything. So it's like, hey, neighbor, thanks. They just.
Yeah, that's what my sister said, that she said she knew there was still no power by her, so she was just going to stay put. She's, I guess, in their new Margaritaville there. So she sent me a picture of a big flip-flop. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad it didn't. When it starts out with like, oh, it's the first time the hurricane went from like 80 mile an hour winds to 160 mile an hour, then less than an hour, it sounded like some really. But then even then, I considered, well, if it was that freakish on the upswing, maybe the decline will, happen a little bit. And, it sounds like it could have been way worse wind wise, but the flooding still and
they're getting those surges, though. That's what really gets them is when the surge happens. Do you remember when we had, which hurricane was it? We had hurricane, I think it was Sandy, and that big surge went over from the Hudson River. It
Yeah,
went right over a building where one of my kids lived.
I know it also went into a storage facility where they had my vancomycin because I was on infusions for a month for when
For your foot?
I hurt both my feet real bad. So I had the portal, what do you call it, the pick insert.
The PICC line? Yeah.
Yeah, do it to myself. But then we didn't have power, and that made it like spooky by flashlight. But after they impressed upon me how the regularity is very important, they had a shortage. The delivery from somewhere in New York, it was like on the first floor, and it flooded.
Yeah.
Now they're telling me so it was like interrupted, and that was very hard for me to wonder what was going on because they weren't able to get rid of the infection. And if this didn't do it, then I'd probably lose the foot. It went on, and it had to be a certain number of days, and it wasn't. And anyway, that's why I'm so happy about this walking. I don't care if I can't bend over and tie my shoe or something like that. Nobody knows. I float in and out with the rest of them, like not giving it a thought.
Okay, Neek, you're on.
I'm on. What do you want me to? Just like that.
Yep, just like that. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, all I know is, I took a quick look, and I realized, you're certainly have great respect for where you are in your own educational process for yourself and all that there is to know in this area of cannabis. And for me, I guess my least understood area is in the therapeutic value for your mental health. And I'm not even sure where New Jersey's rule is to be in their program, as if that really matters with it being legal and all. But I'm not sure it specifically dealt with anything other than post-traumatic stress in that area. And it's probably because there's less readily available information, I think, relative to that, out of all the things that cannabis seems to be able to help. I mean, it's just the never-ending list. And, I find that kind of curious because I know for me, in my own mental health, it's never been. It's just something I've realized. I mean, I guess I don't know how much you would know about me, but I was involved in this starting in the very early 1990s in New Jersey, which was odd because I was the only one. I didn't know anybody else in New Jersey till 1999 that was actively advocating. I'd run across two people one time that helped me with I was like a lone activist with my wife with multiple sclerosis, really advanced, and had to recline in a wheelchair to be comfortable, and could move her head and her shoulders a little, and kind of like this, And so when I found out that it could be good for MS, and back then it was a dark age. My information, I go to a library and look at microfilm using what weren't called keywords, marijuana, multiple sclerosis, and I'd see anything written that contained those two in the title. When I found out, the Journal of the American Medical Association had an article in 1979 said that marijuana may lessen MS spasticity was part of the title. And I was like beside myself because Cheryl, I got married to she's in a wheelchair, but not that advanced. This was like 6 years later. And she didn't consume cannabis. And I did. I was a consumer. And that never separated us because that meant more for me, and then have to share and it lasted longer, and
Because
but on
Jim
the
was
one,
the pothead. That's
yeah,
what he wanted to say.
yeah, I
He
guess
was the pothead and Cheryl
yeah,
was not.
I was. I appreciate that. Um, but Cheryl had no experience at all, and which is unfortunate because we watched this downward slide and just reaching everywhere for years and so helpless. I mean, her neurologist was head neurology at what was then Paul Kimball Hospital in Lakewood, and he prescribed Marinol when he read that's as close as he could do, and he really wanted to help. He could see when I gave her green butter, he knew the difference right away, And so anyway, it was just like unfortunate. And then when I did find out, it started a journey of activism, which is odd that New Jersey's most active person having to do anything with this for years. With somebody who couldn't even move her own body. I mean, an activist that can't move is a rare thing. And, we made a team. She opened the doors and then I, took care of it. And so I have interest in lots of directions, but I do know that for all that we had to do, and you'd have some idea what it is traveling with somebody in that condition, and we had our own air mattress that she had to have, it didn't, I forget what you call alternating pressure or whatever. And, the fact that it was such a financial strain, even that our travel bags were 3 milliliter, 30 gallon garbage bags, so it was all this. I think I had a big, big mental stress going on a lot. And it is always my go-to for staying down the center and keeping my mind with as little static as possible. So I know how it worked for me and my own mental health, just without any supervision at all. It's in hindsight. So I'm kind of curious, how does that work if somebody wanted to try cannabis that hadn't, because they had some issues they wanted to deal with. Could you walk me through that? What would happen? I mean,
Well, I have to start the conversation by saying that because I do hold a nursing license and because I do still practice at the bedside,
yeah,
I
think of
am
it,
not
yeah.
a nurse practitioner. I do not give recommendations because for me, I feel it's outside of my practice.
Yeah.
So
Not so much a recommendation, but what is happening. In other words, more of a historical lesson. Here we are on how this works without it being about anybody specific.
I can speak to my own journey with cannabis and mental health, and I can speak to what's happening in the mental health community where I work. I feel comfortable doing that. So
let's go.
I have a pretty extensive history of anxiety and depression going all the way back to when I was 16 years old. But it wasn't until 2013 with my second battle with breast cancer that I even considered cannabis as a medicine. I was, I grew up with cannabis was a street drug. Cannabis was, not anything positive. So when I had my first suicide attempt at 16 years old, cannabis was like, it just wasn't even a thought. It wasn't anything in the toolbox. And I just went through counseling and therapy and kind of just went on with my life and always had this underlying anxiety and depression that I treated with the gym. I worked out an awful lot and, of course, had other behaviors that and insecurities and toxic traits of my own personality because of my anxiety and my depression and some of my, other issues in my mental health journey. 2013, fast forward, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer for the second time, I started on chemo and was allergic to all the antiemetics. So I was not able to use it. I also throw in there those years from 16 all the way until 45. Somewhere in between there too, I had also struggled with anorexia. So an eating disorder is a type of an addiction. And it's just that your food becomes your control instead of drugs or alcohol. So I saw a picture of myself with my son. I was bald. I had gone through chemotherapy. I was like 111 pounds, and it triggered something in me because when at my worst in my anorexia, I was 93 pounds. And when I saw that picture, I was like, wow, this is 111 pounds. I can't even imagine what I looked like at 93 pounds. And I have to do something. Like, I have to figure out a way to get through this. So I actually started a blog on Facebook, and it was like an open journal. I just talked about my feelings about getting breast cancer for a second time. And I talked about what it was like to be a nurse on the other side going through cancer and treatments and how I was being treated. And that's where my platform led to people just telling me, like, you need to use cannabis, you need to use cannabis, you need to find out about cannabis. And my first reaction, at the time, I was a director of nursing operations at an assisted living, and I was like, like, thank you very much, thank you for your kind words, but I can't touch cannabis. And that's where my entry into cannabis actually started. From there, went through the process eventually to get a medical card, and start using it for nausea and insomnia and anxiety. Chemo, if anybody knows or doesn't know, chemo does a lot to the system. Not only does it change you physically, but mentally, emotionally, and you kind of don't know what the outcome is going to be. So it was the first time in my life, even though it was so odd, because I had this always dealt with like chronic suicidality and always kind of had a plan that if life got really hard, this might be the way I want to check out. And then here I am facing my second battle with breast cancer, and I want to live now. So cannabis for me really changed the trajectory of my care, not only for my anorexia, but for my insomnia and my nauseousness, and for how I started to feel about me. It really changed my mindset, and it really changed my perception of my thoughts, feelings, behaviors, emotions, and kind of led me, and made my writing that much better too. I was able to, on my blogs, I was able to open up more and not feel so insecure by all the basically the insecurities that I was tortured with and still struggle with to this day, of being not good enough and not any enough, and the list goes on. And cannabis kind of really helped me understand and get control of that in a way that I never thought would happen. And that's when I started to advocate for it as a nurse and as a patient, and really started to have it segue into mental health versus just cancer.
You're muted, Jim.
That's one. I won't go twice tonight with that. I'll walk away with my headphones on. Maybe. Yeah. So it wasn't really from cancer so much as a lot of things that it seemed like the cancer would be exacerbating. You know, I mean, all that must really intensify when you have cancer and the chemotherapy. But, you know, it's to me, I guess, that most amazing part. It seemed it's that simple sometimes. I mean, I guess what it is maybe why it didn't resonate with you earlier is it seems like it can't be that simple. And that I would see what it would do for Cheryl. The reason it never occurred to me is I was a regular, pretty much everyday consumer. Not to laying back in the couch mouse, because I had a lot of other responsibilities too, and so it was more of a sort of a steady amount in lower doses than you know, getting really high and then, you know, in my own time or whatever. And the idea that it could have taken care of her tonic spasticity, you know, like I like to relate to, it's like her limbs would be like uncooked spaghetti, and then it would be like cooked spaghetti afterwards. It'd be just, and it was so amazing. I couldn't even hardly scold myself for, Jim, why didn't you look at this years earlier? Because for 6 years I watched a downhill course, and while I was smoking the solution, the solution was literally right under my nose the entire time. And that's as literal as you can get. Many times I had the answer. I was even breathing some of it through my nose. And so, you know, that's why I guess I get my own path was through being the town crier, you know, doing whatever it took to say, I got show and tell here. Come on, media, come check this out. And in early 90s, you know, the only way you could force them to have an interest in it was giving them a side story, like, okay, my case walking across the state pushing a wheelchair with a sign about medical marijuana for MS spasticity. So, you know, that's what was in my mind when you were saying how, you know, you would resist, and despite what you would think would be really sincere people saying you need to try this. And I'm kind of glad we're over that now.
We're not.
No, we're not over. Okay, yeah, you know, boy, don't I know.
I think that's what really needs to be, you know, stressed upon, is that as a nurse, there's still a lot that you put on the line when you're active and you're loud and you're advocating and you're working in the system. It's one of the reasons why a lot of nurses that are getting into the cannabis space are leaving the traditional nursing platform, or even retiring their licenses so they can follow their passion and do what they want to do in the cannabis space. I've had to learn how to really walk a tight line on what is what I can do and can't do. And that's why I don't, whenever I don't consult with patients anymore. When patients need help with cannabis use, I'll tell them what I do or did do, but I always refer them to somebody else, whether it's a patient advocate or a nurse practitioner or a doctor. You know, I have some people in the community that I refer patients to that aren't medical professionals, for sure, that have just been in the space like you, Jim, for a really long time and are really good at helping people through their maladies. And I have a lot of trust for them, and some of them even have their own products and stuff that they've made and used and have found effectiveness from. So I want to say, like, I'm not that like, oh, like you have to go to a doctor and you have to do this, but if I go back to 2013, I was at Dana-Farber, and Dana-Farber is connected to Harvard. And I remember telling my practitioner that, look, like I'm down to 111 pounds. I can't take the antiemetics. I'm going to start using cannabis. And my whole treatment team said, Neek, that's fine, but we want nothing to do with it. We can't help you. We can't talk to you about it. Nothing. I said, that's fine. I have other people that are going to do that for me. And for me at that time, my caregiver was Chappie Dickerson, who was a caregiver in Rhode Island, also a veteran, and actually owned a dispensary in Massachusetts now, Basque. So he was the one who really helped me understand how to use cannabis and what to do. And basically, he brought me a care package. And it had tinctures and edibles and tonics and salve and I mean, you name it, Chappie had in this gift package for me. And he sat with me. He must have stayed with me for about 2 hours, talked about my health, talked about the military, because I'm also a veteran. And then, he put all these products out and he said, look, just experiment, just start slow, low dose yourself, see what you like, see what you don't like. This is some of the negative stuff that you could be seeing, like the paranoia and the anxiety and really, really tired, or you just might feel nothing, or it might help you sleep. It might help you with, gaining an appetite, decreasing that nauseousness. And that's what I loved about the work that Chappie did with me. It wasn't like broken down into like this whole cannabinoid profile and all the terpenes, and I had to tweak what I was going to do and stuff. He just came over, gave me a hug, shared some love with me and hope, and said, now it's up to you. And that's, I really took that to heart. And that's what I did while I was going through my treatments at Dana-Farber. Fast forward to about 6 months or a year after that, they had a program at Dana-Farber called, it's something with, it was like a big sister type program. Like they would match a breast cancer survivor with a newly diagnosed breast cancer patient, and you would help them go through the process and be there for them to support them through their journey. And I went through the process. I went to the interview. The lady said, oh, you'll be great for our program, especially because I used, I worked out all through chemo. I used cannabis and bodybuilding to get me through my second battle with breast cancer. And as soon as she found out I was using cannabis, she took me out of the program. And I said, well, I'm not really sure why cannabis is a big deal. I'm not going to be bringing it to the patients. She said, well, the director of this program is from Harvard and he's very conservative. And I said to her, I'll never forget it. I said, and you're going to tell me that Harvard's not studying cannabis? And she said, oh, no, I don't know. And let me tell you, a year later, I was at Harvard, which was sponsored with Dana-Farber, and Dr. Raphael Mechoulam was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award from Dana-Farber and Harvard. And I got to meet him and I got to see him in person, and went to one of the chief medical officers and said, you know what happened to me last year? And he couldn't believe it. And I said, I knew Harvard has been studying cannabis. And sure enough, I believe the company and was Medical Genomics, I believe too, was part of the big sponsor that was there as well. And he was on stage while he was awarded this from many of the doctors and stuff. And so again, you know, the stigma is real. The stigma is really tough, especially in the medical community and especially in the mental health medical community, Jim. Like you were saying, I'm still a staff nurse in the psych hospital. And I, I mean, I have not been able to open up the conversations with doctors there yet. The only thing that I can open up them is to talk to them about some of the possible side effects that we're seeing. But then it's like to help them with their withdrawals. One of the psychiatrists said to me, there is no appropriate use for cannabis. And I said, well, what about PTSD? He said, this conversation is over, and he left the room.
It never really was a conversation to begin with, though, was it?
Right.
You know, you know, Lester Grinspoon and now Peter Grinspoon were Harvard, and they were all about cannabis.
Right.
So, you know, to be representing Harvard and either not knowing that or brushing that aside, zero.
What about the Harvard Psychedelic Club, the Harvard Four? You know, let's talk, 50 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, that was definitely misrepresentation. And which would a person rather be, purposely misrepresenting or misrepresenting out of ignorance? And I don't mean being stupid. I mean, ignorance is being ignorant of a fact.
Right.
You know, we all are. You know, I tend to use that word and offend people occasionally in my life when I mean, until you learn something, you're ignorant in that area to a degree.
I was definitely ignorant about cannabis.
Oh,
Definitely.
really? You know, well, I mean, I had to deal with the National MS Society, and having the things that I found out, and again, microfilm. But when I found that they did a test using Lewis rats and strain 13 guinea pigs, and the results, I used to be able to roll this off at the tip of my tongue 25 years ago. But in the end, the animals that did not have the placebo, that had the real deal, and they didn't have MS, they used EAE, encephala something. EAE is the disease that mimics MS that they would use. But what got me was it was a really well done test as far as I could ascertain, as far as tests go. But it wasn't like subtle. The rats that got the placebo, 98% died, and the ones that had the real deal, only 5% died, and those that didn't had either very few symptoms or delayed onset. And similar with the guinea pigs, but to me, with the MS Society, it is, where is the interest in taking what's the next step in this testing? Here we are, how do we segue to human testing? And that the MS Society, the largest research organization in the world with about multiple sclerosis, had absolutely no interest in doing the research or looking into it or anything. This, while the British MS Society and Canadian MS Society both pretty much endorsed it, and said, well, studies were paramount. We needed to do this. So here I am thinking, oh, come on, 3 MS societies in hours, and the biggest. So, I was at war with them for about 4 years. I mean, war where I never raised my voice for, just hitting them where it hurt. And, the idea of, I still have a picture I like about the 1997 Cures Not Wars walk, led by Dana Beal, 1997, and their May Day walk. And that was Cheryl's first trip to New York. And she was the only person like in a wheelchair or visibly a patient, and there was like 5,000 people. So she got to lead this 5,000 person parade down Fifth Avenue. And with her reclining wheelchair, she's in this canyon looking up. And is very good representation. And the MS Society's national office is at 733 3rd Avenue. So we went with Elvie Musica, a legal cannabis patient, not for MS, but to their office, and to drop off the sign as a gift for Dr. Stephen Reingold, who was like their head, not the head research or anything, but he had that very upper position. He was their mouthpiece, and the sign was Dr. Stephen Reingold lies about medical cannabis or something like that. I mean, that walked right down Fifth Avenue, and he refused to come down and see her. He was there. So we went outside, and Elvie legally smoked a joint next to Cheryl, and I got a picture of a cloud of smoke going over Cheryl's head, and I'm kind of leaning in. So, you know, it's odd how there's fond memories within a story that's, you know, I don't know what the right word for it is even. It's sad. And, but I just like that the good parts never seem to end. I'm still learning, as I am like even right now tonight, still learning. There's always more, and it may come with some drawbacks, but in the balance of, you know, risk benefit analysis, you know, it always seems to be worth to try.
Nick, did you ever try cannabis as a youngster?
I did. Probably, I think actually I was around 16. And oh my God, like I remember being with my friends at the time, and we were outside in the dark on this, you know, down by Airport Road that we all used to hang around, and Fall River used to have an airport and stuff. And they're all smoking weed and everything. And I took a hit, and I literally thought I was sitting on a seat outside of the car door. And I was like sitting on, I'll never forget it. It was like I was sitting laying back on the crescent moon, and I was hanging out with, you know, the little green guy from Fred Flintstone, the little,
Yes.
Oh, he was with me. And I'll never forget my friend John Dollard, who said to me, oh my God, I wish I could smoke weed and get like that. I wouldn't have to do all this other shit I do. And it's just like, that was like one of the one and only times I did it. I was like, well, I don't know if this is for me. And, you know, I dabbled in it here and there, but it just, as you can see from the story, it didn't leave me feeling too comfortable. So I didn't use it an awful lot.
Yeah, well, maybe with it having an initial reaction like that.
Yeah, the Great Kazoo comes to visit you. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool, but
I want what she's having.
That's what basically they were saying. They were like, Neek, I'm like, I'm telling you.
Yeah. So what are you quoting Meg Ryan now, and whatever that was, you know, with Tom Hanks? I'll have what she's having, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Great Kazoo, was that Mork or something like that?
No, that was with Fred Flintstone. He used
Fred
to come
Flintstone,
to,
okay.
yeah.
But,
Yep.
I was a big Fred Flintstone fan. You know?
I actually have another question that I usually ask people, and it's what's your favorite munchie food? And you could tell me what it was maybe back then or what it was now. What do you like go for when you have the munchies?
Me was
Yes,
more
me.
like, what was that?
Nothing.
Uh,
There's a replay. You can hear it on the replay.
I used to like the cookies or brownies. That's what I would have before I went to bed. But then realizing that, like, if you drink it with milk, the milk can intensify the high. So
We got milk.
That's a commercial.
Low
These are
fat or
medicated.
regular?
These are medicated brownies, I guess, right?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, smoking was sometimes hard for me because of my asthma. And
Oh.
then when I was going through radiation, I was getting a lot. I had like 39 radiation treatments to my left chest wall and under my arms. So I smoked, but not a lot, because sometimes it would just start me like coughing and wheezing. So it just wasn't like the best way for me. And then I am not a very good candidate for cannabis. I found over time, I get extremely paranoid, like a paranoia that is crippling and almost can be considered psychotic. Um, it can be very scary for people that are with me if they've never had anybody with them that was as extremely paranoid as that I get. So I actually don't use much of cannabis anymore, if at all. When I do, it's just microdosing, very low doses, just to kind of help me with my mental health. It's not to get any type of euphoria at all, because even I found that in my system, even if it was like, say I smoked like on day one and it was okay, even just if it was a very high CBD, low THC, and then after a couple of days, that same strain, all of a sudden, the paranoia would start kicking in again. So as we know, cannabis can stay in your system for like 3 to 4 weeks. I just think I just have a really sensitive system, even with edibles, with anything. Like over time, I'm talking just a few days or a week, I just have to kind of back off a little bit and step away. So cannabis served an incredible purpose for me through my cancer treatments for years following. Led me on a journey to California, where I started to really look into a lot of other alternative therapies for mental health. Because all I ever got was a psychiatrist that would spend a few minutes with you to look at what type of drugs that you should be on, or what he or she wanted to tweak. A psychologist or a therapist that would spend an hour, I don't know, maybe a week with you, but everybody kind of had their own perception of who you were based on how you were feeling that day and how your emotions were, especially once you get a diagnosis, because a mental health diagnosis carries its own stigma as well. So cannabis really helped me go on this journey of incredible internal healing. And I'm so sad because my brand of choice was Nature Nurse. Heather Manis was the CEO of Nature Nurse, and it was her product. And I used she had transdermal patches that I used like religiously. They were half CBD, half THC. They did not cause me to be high. They did not cause me any paranoia, but they really helped with my depression and my anxiety. And then she had low dose cacao edibles that were 2.5 milligrams of THC, and then one was 2.5 milligrams of CBD. And it was incredible how I was able to just microdose myself into mental wellness, emotional wellness, by her product and by her work with me using her Lotus therapy, which was a form of therapy that basically she was giving me the tools to heal myself. I just didn't even know that that's what she was doing. And basically Sue was doing the same thing from afar, because basically it's just about giving somebody love and teaching them that the love that they have and what they need is right inside. So cannabis was my entrance into this journey of self-healing and self-love, with a brand and people that were very comforting and kind. And I think those are the equations for cannabis. Is, you know, it's a medicine full of love. And I think what saddens me and why I really don't do cannabis consults personally, and again, I'm speaking from my own personal walk with cannabis, is that I did have patients that would come to me and I would help, of course, as a cannabis, as a cancer survivor myself, but I couldn't charge them. I couldn't charge them for services that, for a medicine that helped me heal in a way that the medical system failed me, the psychiatric system failed me. And I just, to this day, don't have it in my heart to have patients come to me to charge them for something that, if you give them the tools, they can heal themselves. So I had to walk away from that area of my life and what I wanted to do. And that's what segued me when I came back from California. And after working for years with Heather, she worked with me deeply in California, as well as sent me to acupuncture and cupping, and I did float deprivation therapy. I did journaling and music therapy. And when I came back to the States, I did equine therapy at Dare to Dream Ranch. And all of that was, and at the time in 2019, I was still using cannabis. I still had access to Nature Nurse products. If I still hadn't access to Nature Nurse products, I would still be using it. But unfortunately, I don't, and I haven't found any other products that mimic the level of microdosing and therapeutic value for me. So I just kind of walked away. And that's what got me into going back to school. So in 2019, when I came back to Massachusetts, that I had this brainstorm of, well, I'm a cannabis nurse and I have a mental health background personally, so nobody's going to take me seriously. So maybe if I get my doctorate, maybe somebody will think like that. I know what I'm talking about. Had no idea what I was undertaking, had no idea where it was going to go. But my dream was to build out the Cannabis Nurse Navigator through my doctoral program, which I put together in Entrepreneurs for All in 2016. And it was an entrepreneur program where I had a t-shirt line called Neekwear, which was bodybuilding and cannabis inspired fitness wear. And it didn't have a place back in 2015. Today it does, but back then people just could not see bodybuilding and cannabis as therapeutic, but I did. That clothing line was the people that were working with me at Entrepreneurs for All said, Neek, with all of your background, what are you doing making t-shirts? Like, you need to do something else. And that's where I got the idea to launch the Cannabis Nurse Navigator. So that was 2016. So here we are, 2024. And I did get my doctorate in nursing in May of 23. It brought me to work with Dr. Godfrey Perlson at Hartford Hospital in the Olin Psychiatry Research Center. And I do human cannabis studies there. I dose participants with cannabis. We do blood draws, we do EEGs, we do MRIs, and we collect the data. They're doing tasks while we're doing all of this. One of them is a driving simulation as well. And I'm trying to get the data I need to build a tool to show and differentiate. I know I'm not supposed to use the terms appropriate and inappropriate use. Dr. Perlson does not like those terms, but basically it's to say there is a reason why people are using cannabis. And just because they're positive for THC does not mean they have cannabis use disorder, because that's what's happening in the mental health hospitals now. Now, I don't know about the medical hospitals. I can only speak from the psychiatric inpatient units. We're seeing an uptick during COVID of cannabis use disorder. And now it's, even more. So that's where my journey led me to now. I don't want to leave bedside nursing. I work at the research center. I still work in inpatient psych, and I'm advocating as hard as I can to try to get this cannabis nurse navigator position into the hospitals, so that way a patient that's using cannabis, like I was, will have a nurse that can go and be part of their treatment team and talk to the patient to see how, where, why, all the questions of their cannabis use, and is it misuse or is it effective use of cannabis? Because I know there are some people, even though many do not, still believe you can have a cannabis use disorder. You can overuse cannabis to the point where you just want to live your life in euphoria and your daily activities are not being met. But for purposes, of what I'm doing, that's the route that I decided to go, because as a patient and as a survivor of both mental health and cancer, I just don't have it in me to charge for the work that I do. So I'll let the institution pay me while I keep trying to do what I do.
And that's part of activism, though. We don't make money.
Right.
And so you've inadvertently hopped on the bandwagon, which is an awesome thing to have done, especially with your background. And you have a different experience with cannabis than I'd say most of us in this role do. Most of us started young. Most of us started recreationally. Most of us continued our use. And a lot of us found out that yes, there is medicinal value prior to this being brought to the forefront, as we see now. Jim's a perfect example of that with what he went through with Cheryl. I can only tell a story about when I was a kid and I got period cramps, and a friend of mine told me, well, smoke a joint, your period cramps will feel better, and they did. And then we decided, well, this is medicine. We're going to use this for a lot of different things, So that was pretty cool. But what I did want to just scoot us over to, Lefty had some questions prior to you coming on board about psilocybin. So, go ahead, Lefty. You're on.
I would like to microdose, and I don't really know how to start microdosing, because when I ever took mushrooms, I always take it for a trip. But it's a very spiritual thing for me. I like to plan my day around it and take the mushrooms and basically meditate or pray, whatever you want to call it. That's what I like to do. I'd like to try to microdose for my pain, because I hear that it's good for pain on very low levels. Because when the doctors had a hold of me, they gave me roxycodone and OxyContin and Valium and Neurontin and Lyrica and all those other drugs. They tried to get me on Wellbutrin and all these other the antidepressants, telling me that that's going to make you feel better and it's going to make your back feel better. And I kind of tried it and I didn't really like it, and it didn't do anything for me. But the mushrooms interest me. The natural medicines interest me, and I'm wondering how I should start. What dose should I start on if I want to microdose?
This I can speak again from personal experience. I started with 250 or 500 grams. Yeah, grams of psilocybin. And I actually started with the 500 grams, and it didn't do anything to me euphoria wise. It just helped me with my anxiety, my depression. It helped me at a very even keel. And people were like blown away that the 500 grams did not do anything to me in any type of euphoria. After I finished that batch, it was gummies that I did. I did 250 grams, and same thing. It just really keeps my mental health in check. It's a peacefulness that cannabis used to give me, a strong peacefulness. Now, I have heard people say that when you're microdosing, you should only microdose for about 3 months and then you need to give it a break. I don't have a lot of knowledge yet about microdosing with mushrooms. I know that we are going to start a study in the lab with psilocybin. And I'll, then of course I'll start learning more about psilocybin and its uses, but I can only speak a little bit from my personal perspective from the way microdosing with mushrooms has helped me. So I don't know. I haven't used cannabis in a while, and I use microdosing with the mushrooms, and also BCP. Lefty, BCP might be beneficial to you for your pain. BCP is beta caryophyllene.
I use it.
I use a product from Dr. Philip Blair, and it's called the BCP Plus capsules, and it's very, very beneficial as well, and is supposed to have helpful benefit with pain as well. So, but I can connect you, Lefty, I have a couple of nursing friends that are deep into the psilocybin space. If you want more information, I can totally connect you with them for more information on psilocybin and microdosing with psilocybin.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised, but I have to be very careful, and that's another thing that, again, I guess the nursing part of me, I try to bring it out. Like, I'm very sensitive. My endocannabinoid system, we all have a different endocannabinoid system. There is something really wonky with my endocannabinoid system because cannabis, I'm like one hit wonder, and whatever it does to my mind and altering my mind, and that paranoia is very real and very real for those around me. And yet the 500 grams of the psilocybin, it just helped me sleep and feel good. Whereas I know somebody that used it, and when she went to go to bed, her curtains were melting and her room was like changing form, and we both took the same dose. So again, it's one of those things that plant medicine is very different than pharmaceuticals, or is it? Right? Because some people do very well with 5 milligrams of Percocets, and some people need 30. Mm-hmm. So again, it's learning how to understand your own body with the plant medicines, I feel.
I'm thinking it's 500 milligrams because
It is milligrams.
Milligrams. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought so. Because
Yeah, because a high dose would be 4 grams.
Yes.
So that would be a high dose.
Yes.
I've used psilocybin at nighttime to go along with what everyone else was telling me, including Meek, that they got a good night's sleep, and I stayed awake all night. So it's, we're all different. So it's kind of like, all trial and error.
Yeah.
But I do think that psilocybin has a lot to be looked at. It really does.
Yeah.
I think it could be very beneficial, not only in behavioral health, but just for normal everyday living, you know?
Right.
I think, my own interest in psilocybin has kind of been reinvigorated with the concept of microdosing. And, my initial experience was in 1971, where we gathered a 5-gallon pot full of mushrooms on a Jacksonville farm. And by people who know how to, almost every mushroom was the proper mushroom. And it grew under cow shit for the most part. So, it took quite a boiling process and washing process or whatever. But, that I had like a really large dose and had a first time experience, like maybe your first time cannabis experience, where you're sitting on a seat outside the car or whatever. But and it was pretty dramatic, so I wasn't in a real hurry to have that happen again. But then, actually, it was a long time later, at a festival in New York, Rob Robinson's festival in 2004 is like the first one after Cheryl died, and I had some mushrooms then, and it got me right to when I say hallucinations, it's like watching a band, turning around, talking to somebody, and then turn around and wondering who's the new band. In other words, what are you talking about? And I was like, they all got beards. Oh, no, they don't. What the hell? I saw a whole different kind of, and then and that one, though, was kind of interesting, but it was a festival atmosphere. And the reason it was interesting is I wasn't paranoid because there was no law enforcement around, and I felt very free. And then I found it to be somewhat beneficial. But now I would like to find a microdose of psilocybin. That would give me something similar to what I get when I eat some edible form that I make cookies with, but it's food grade, so I eat it. Like people say, I don't really get high off that. I don't feel like I'm getting high. It's like clearing static up and bringing me into my own surroundings moment, where other noises almost help me concentrate rather than distract me. And I'm wondering if it might be similar with a microdose of psilocybin, where I just feel like my litmus test is writing. And how do whether I'm just writing a comment or getting a thought down, whatever. I know I'm in my zone when the writing comes easy, when it makes there's no definition of it for me. I just know that it happens. And that happens pretty often with cannabis. But when I say often, if it was every third time I sat down to do something, that'd be a good streak right there. Because with an end goal that's taken many sit downs, it's still very productive. But, with everything, again, what I'm hearing tonight, I'm probably, and I don't need to really wait for it to be done in that setting that'll be New Jersey legal. I mean, I find somebody I trust and has some, and me, and here's the deal, and I'll take whatever comes my way then. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, It's
Yes, Guy, we can see your comments, Guy. You have any questions? I think Guy had a question. I'm not sure. Just pop them in the chat. Any questions, just pop them in the chat.
Yeah, I don't have my chat open because it shrinks everything, and I like seeing the images as large as I can.
I know, right? It's
yeah,
better.
well, I do. I feel more like we're at Lefty's Playhouse or something.
Well, yeah, the studio here is a little crazy. This is the studio. That's our look here. I'm in an intersection.
That's where Lefty lives.
Yeah, I'm fighting for a traffic light for a blind person in this intersection, and I just do laps in this intersection for hours, and I'll get a light eventually. It'll take a couple of years, but I'll get that light.
He does laps, live video, He goes round, and to see if people will stop and if they, how it works out.
It's dangerous. People are afraid to cross the street. Got disabled people with canes running across the street because people aren't stopping it. It's just people in wheelchairs are afraid to cross. Children, puppies, they beep at babies. So yeah, we got a light on Avenue C doing this. So now I'm on Broadway doing the same thing. And when I started doing this on Broadway, a blind person reached out. He says, Lefty, I see you're getting a light on Broadway too. Can you get a talking light for blind people? I said, what's that? He said, it's a light that goes wait, walk. And I was ignorant. I didn't know that was for blind people. So now all the lights we fight for are going to be for disabled, ADA compliant for blind people now. And make sure everybody's aware of that. So guy's question was, can Nick talk about the details of the study, the psilocybin study, I guess. Yeah.
We don't have total approval from the IRB yet, but what the study is on is to microdose for people who have alcohol addiction to see if low doses of psilocybin can decrease that alcohol craving. So that we should be up and running with that fairly soon. But if anybody knows what IRB is, the internal review board at the hospital, it's the ethics committee for doing any type of research for patients. So once the IRB gives us the approval, then we can go forward and start getting participants and start collecting the data.
I'm living proof that it worked for me. Got me off of opiates and cannabis and opiates and alcohol.
The psilocybin?
5 years now. Yeah, I medicate 0.3 grams in the morning and so I do a gram a day. 0.33 in the morning, 0.33 in the afternoon, and 0.33 at night. And it actually got me off of the opiates that I was on for like 12 to 15 years, almost 16 years. And then it got me off of alcohol, which I was downing a bottle of alcohol a week, including using other psychedelics like DMT.
Wow. Good for you. That's awesome.
Is this in Maine or New Jersey or Massachusetts?
The hospital is Connecticut. I work at Hartford Hospital out of the Olin Neuropsychiatry Research Center.
Okay. This is Guy's wheelhouse here. He does a lot of, he loves this stuff. He does a lot of research with psychedelics. He wants to know who the sponsor is. Was there a sponsor?
That part goes through the doctor. That's above my level. So the sponsor, I mean, does he mean who's funding the research study? Does he mean who's sponsoring the psilocybin? Like, I'm not
I think he means where is the API being sourced from? Maybe that's what he means.
So yeah, I don't have that all of it. Well, Olin Neuropsychiatry Research Center is also part of Yale and Hartford Hospital. So it's the Institute of Living at Hartford Hospital. And for where we're getting the psilocybin from, that I don't have access to that information right now. That goes through the PI, the principal investigator, who's Dr. Perlson. And then that all has to go through NIDA and the DEA and the FDA and all of that. It's like really like the forums have to be all part of like I said, NIDA, the DEA, FDA, organic, all of that. They have to have all those labels for us to be able to use any of that in a study.
Oh, API is active pharmaceutical ingredient. Hey, I learned something new tonight.
It's not a pharmaceutical, it's plant. It's going to be psilocybin.
Oh, active psilocybin ingredient.
It's going to be plant medicine.
Yeah,
there's no
plant
pharmaceutical ingredient. It's plant medicine. We're using cannabis and we're using psilocybin. We're not using pharmaceuticals. This isn't a pharmaceutical study. This is actual plant medicine studies.
Oh, study drug. Okay.
The study drug is psilocybin.
Yeah, gotcha. Are you the study nurse for the study?
For the studies, I dose the participants. Yes. But so there's research assistants, there's the doctor who's the principal investigator. I'm the nurse involved. I dose the participants and do blood draws. The
wow.
research assistants do the MRIs, the EEGs. So I'm there to do the dosing.
Do the blood pressure, all that. Is that constantly monitored, the blood pressure, or just when
No,
you need it?
it's certain intervals. It's certain intervals, and depending on what the protocol is for the study that was approved by the IRB. So each study has a different protocol. So it just depends what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I know there's studies out there with different routes of administration, but like I said, I can't really speak about the psilocybin one because I don't have a lot of knowledge of it yet. It's still not even out of the box yet. But the cannabis ones, we dose using a volcano. So we dose using a volcano, and that's how participants get their dose. And the doses are measured through like a timer. So that way it's the closest way that we can get patients, or participants, I should say, to each get the same dose as clinically possible.
Do the patients getting dosed at the site, do they get to go home with the study drug as well, or no?
We're working out all those details now. We might be able to send them home with a few days worth of the psilocybin. It depends. This is why we're working closely with the IRB. We haven't gotten all those details yet, exactly because the IRB wants to make sure that nobody's going to be able to go home and overdose on psilocybin or anything else. And I'm not allowed to give a lot of details about the study right now. It's still under review. It's still going through the IRB. So thank you for the questions, but I'm just not privy to throw them all out there right now.
Right. These are great questions.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, the inclusion and exclusion criteria, I have not been part of the ongoing talks for the psilocybin studies. I can speak more of the cannabis studies. So.
Boy, there's a lot to know here. I'm learning
Yeah,
a lot
I don't. Yeah. So we have, like I said, we have a committee for the psilocybin study, and unfortunately, I was out on medical leave, so I haven't been on the weekly meetings. But also, too, there's also certain limitations of what I can discuss about studies at this point until they're like up and running and they're past IRB approval. So, but I will get more for you, or you can actively look on the Institute of Living at Hartford Hospital on the research website. And as these studies start coming forward, you'll be able to see them there. And there you'll be able to, if the information that you're looking for is not there, you can contact the research assistant who's there and get more information.
So Guy was the site coordinator for oncology at St. Barnabas for 15 years.
Cool.
St. Barnabas in Livingston?
The one by me? I'm in East Hanover. It's right around the block from me.
Okay. I used to work there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
I was a burn ICU nurse.
Last time I was there, I ran into a patient with epilepsy from Pennsylvania, of all people. Yeah, I was like, "What are you doing here?"
It's a good hospital.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah, a lot of patients with epilepsy apparently go there.
Mm-hmm.
But I know my one friend, he has to hide his medicine because they may take it away.
Yeah, well, Barnabas is it's a level 1 burn center, so their focus is more that way. But I will tell you, and I think I've mentioned this before, during my tenure there, we tried a lot of different avenues to treat patients, because I think I've described, burn patients go through what's called a burn psychosis that they either eventually come out of or not. It's just like they eventually die or not. Um, and we tried things. We tried hypnosis. We tried ketamine. We tried a variety of different therapy modules. We tried Reiki. We all had to be Reiki masters. It was an interesting time. Guy, I see, yes, that you worked in the burn unit many times. What did you do there? You worked with Dr. Mansour. Okay, I worked with Bonnie Mansour also. So what did you do in the burn unit?
Sure, Monsoon.
Yeah, okay. I know Dr. Patron too.
Name dropping here. I'm going to write these down. I'm going to drop some names when I get a
They're,
chance to.
they're the burn surgeons that have been in the burn unit for eons. They're awesome. They're awesome. They know their burns. And you were the unit coordinator for many years. Are you a nurse?
United coordinator. Or unit. Maybe it is. Maybe it is.
He
Unit.
must have meant unit.
Hey Sue, so for the psychosis, you said you were using different types of outlets to treat the patient's psychosis, as far as from the burns itself.
Mhm.
Would it
Yeah.
be similar to like PTSD almost?
Oh my God, PTSD to the
From the
extreme.
fire being burnt? Yeah.
To the extreme, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause I
very
figured that's
sad,
what it
very
was.
sad.
Yeah. On that like far end PTSD where it's borderline psychosis is psychosis.
It is it is a
So
psychosis.
crazy.
Yeah, and it's sad. And you know what? For the patients that do survive, this is how they're going to live. And unless somebody leads them to the right kind of therapy, they're never going to be normal. The only people that ever see them as normal are the nurses that work in the burn unit. So,
Guy learned everything from nurses.
yeah, we're good teachers.
I'm going to have to end up going shortly. I'm sorry. I don't know if there's any other questions before I
Yes. One last question. If you have a friend who's depressed or down on their luck and you want to cheer them up or give them some quote that you can remember or that you would, what's something you would tell somebody to cheer them up right in their day?
It's actually a quote that came from my father, who, if he was still alive, would be 102 years old. And he always used to say, it's a good life if you don't weaken. So, with that being said,
Wow. Kind of deep.
Gave me goosebumps a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, that's in the top percent of it. Lefty asks everybody these questions. Sometimes he forgets that one, I'm pointing at you, by the way.
Yeah.
You can't see me pointing at you. But yeah, that's pretty deep,
Yeah, that was a good one. I'm not even.
well, my dad was a World War II and Korean vet. He was a nose gunner in the Air Force. He flew 35 successful missions with his brother in the same plane.
He's as tough as they come, pretty much.
And yeah. So, but I do want to thank you for your time. I do want to give a shout out to the Cannabis Nurses Network, because if it wasn't for the Cannabis Nurses Network, I would not be where I am today. I am always a patient first. I don't care where I go and how many initials I have after my name or what I do. My job is to help patients get better care in our failing healthcare system. So thank you for your time. Thank you, Sue, for the opportunity. And
Thank you, Nick.
all right. Good night.
Good night.
Ciao.
Good night.
Wow, that was really good.
I'll sue, your streak is still alive.
I've got 10 more in the pot.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow. They're
You
all.
got 10 more pocket aces.
Yeah. It's sort of like
What's happening, Bear?
you're building Lefty
What's up, man?
quite the resume should he ever go out looking for he has no reason to go out looking for good guests. He's getting them. But at some point, you know, it's sort of like, well, here's some of the people I've had on, and oh man,
Woo!
yeah. It makes
Yeah,
you
well,
look good,
this
dude.
is all you. This is all you.
It's amazing.
Jim and I are just background noise.
No, I'm your sound guy. That's what I'm
You
you
know,
and Jim's sound guy.
it's funny because, like, I don't mean just for the show, but I like finding people who've done podcasts if I want to know something about them. And I'm not talking about, like, do they have a Wikipedia page? You know, just a minor, you know, look around, see what comes up. But I like watching people on other podcasts only because I start thinking, wow, that's runs a pretty strict format there. Okay, you know. I'm thinking, no, that sounds more like, well, tell us about yourself. Well, thanks for coming on the show, and we hope that you know. And then there's us, and when we get into a discussion about the wheelhouse of the topic that we're talking about, I learned just from what you all and the guests are saying. I mean, little things, and I'm not even aware that I'm learning till, holy shit, I didn't know that, you know. And then you get that little piece of advice on the end going out from Nick, you know. And it's like, man, that was like another one. So and normally I wouldn't say it with such somewhat joy that I am so often not the smartest person in the room. I'm kind of looking up or at everybody else. You know, it's sort of like there's nobody learning less than me. You know, but then I look at it like that. I have more to learn then too. You know, I mean, and I think I do. You know, my problem gets
We
to be
do. You know what? And it's continuous because, you know, I watch this stuff go on all day long, you know, with what's being done where and who's saying what about, you know. I like to stick mostly with cannabis. Yes, my curiosity with psilocybin is there. In fact, Lefty, if you need some help with the microdosing, we'll talk. But it's very interesting, and I always like that saying, I don't know what I don't know. You know,
Lefty, if you want to start with microdosing, it's a wonderful, wonderful world. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's
tell him, Paco.
it's the quality of life that I've experienced from microdosing is tenfold better than any therapist, any behavioral therapist, any actual psychological therapist, anyone that I've ever spoken to cannot come close to how the magical power of microdosing is. It unlocks like this like whole other plateau of level field, the playing field, dude. I'm telling you like it is.
And Lefty, I worked with this psychiatrist. He does the ketamine assisted therapy because, you know, that's what's legal.
That's
But
also really good too.
He microdoses psilocybin, and what he does is he does 7 days, because Nick was talking about, you know, these break periods, but he does 7 days and then he takes himself off for 3, and then he restarts another 7 days. And it seems to work, you know, for him just well. So, you know, it's all it's really just trial and error. It's really just, you know, you find what's right for you. But you know,
5-day business plan. 5 days on, 2 days off. Usually my schedule for it.
Yeah,
It
there
works
you
out
go.
well for me.
And that's good, right? Yeah.
Because I need the break. Because realistically speaking, you end up burning yourself out to a point because, like, no matter what, you can take a minuscule amount and you won't feel it, but even the microdose is like, ooh, I feel something, but it's a good feeling. It's not like, oh, the wall's melting. No, it's like, ooh, I'm chilling, I'm relaxed, I'm not getting my anxiety, panic attack, I'm not getting my overthinking. Like, it literally helps with small amounts of pain, which is really good, which is why it helped a lot with my, like, because I have cluster headaches here in the back of my head because from my muscles always tightening up to protect the disc that's ruptured and or not ruptured, slipped here in the back. So I constantly get throbbing headaches out the back of my head, and those capsules actually helped with the actual, I guess you can say, like, you know, that override pressure feeling you get from a headache, from a cluster headache. It reduces that like inflammation in the back of the head, and it's like relaxing instead of like, oh, I'm always in pain, I got a headache, you know.
This
That's
is
why
good.
I get deprived.
This sounds really getting interesting to me. You know, I don't know why I wasn't more investigative of how this might help me with some areas it could be better. But everything I'm hearing tells me I might want to try microdosing, and when I'm either doing research or writing. It might really be amazing for me, because for me to be what I call in my zone, and there's no switch,
Yes.
sometimes it just, and I feel it, and I like when there's no intrusions on it, and sometimes when I feel that coming on, I put on I type in brain music. It's like it basically has an alpha sound and a sound, it blocks out some distraction, but microdosing might really open up that window, and I can't even put my finger on it, except for all of a sudden, if I'm writing, I'm like, yeah, that's it, and I read and it is it, and I'm like, holy crap, was that? And there's more, and when I reach that, that's one of the great joys of my life. I mean, I don't have any, magnificence and other things going on, but unlocking that for like 12 minutes.
Yeah, Jim. So be honest with you, but I have ADHD, and what you're describing sounds a lot like ADHD.
Well, I don't,
and microdosing helped me a lot with my focus overall in general. I was able to focus on my quality of life and go to the gym, my diet. I was able to just do everything that I was supposed to be doing in general in my life that I'm supposed to be doing positive. So it was more of like a positive reinforcement as far as using it. And yes, Gaetano, I was dealing with an intervention therapist. I had to see them once a week, as well as a behavioral therapist and a psychotherapist, while on the psilocybin mushrooms when I lived in Oregon. That's when I was doing the psilocybin therapy, was in Oregon. And yes, it worked out very well. And the therapist, like I said, it was a lot to unpack with therapy, and it was great. And it's like I said, more so the microdosing helped me with my ADHD, my depression, my anxiety, my minor acute pains and symptoms of those cluster headaches that I got from the pain that I get from the disc. So it did help a lot. My macro doses helped me way more, to be honest. They more so recheck the ego that I needed.
Of course they did.
Yeah,
They're scary. They're scary. You're just like, what the hell's going on? But when you're in the middle of the woods and you're literally enjoying the moonlight camping, it's that's Oregon. When I lived in Oregon, every which way, 20-minute direction, I ended up in like a national forest. So it's like, and you're allowed to camp legally on a national forest. So I pitched camp every other which way I went. Like every other week I'd go literally Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'd be in the woods, and then I'd come back for work Tuesday to Friday, and then leave Friday afternoon and go back out in the woods and do it again. Literally, that was my therapy. Leaving New Jersey, moving to Oregon, finding out my micro doses that worked well for me, and focusing on myself was really what helped me. And then I came back here and back to the Jersey grind, living the miserable life of the metropolis. It's that rat race. It is that bad. I mean, considering the way things are and how expensive this coast is. I was renting an entire house in Oregon for less than $1,300 a month, including utilities. Find that for me in New Jersey, Sue, and let me know if that isn't a stressful venture in its own, finding something that cheap for a 3-bedroom house with a finished basement and a backyard fence.
Did you experience ego death? What is ego death?
Oh, man. Yeah, I did. I said that before. The ego death was very, very real. I experienced that with psilocybin macro doses, and I experienced that with DMT. DMT micro and macro doses.
Jersey Watchers in the house.
Hey.
You had a great night.
It's killing me.
We had a fun night in Edison. We actually had 5 activists taking on Edison, and it was a fun battle. It was one of the best council meetings ever.
Wow.
Pat Duff was there. Pat Duff did a puppet show with an anonymous mask.
I can't believe he did. When I saw that, I died laughing when I heard the Murphy impression.
Phil Murphy. Phil Murphy cursed at the council.
Oh, he cursed at the council. That was the best part about it.
Hey, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? Hope your migraine is better. Now, Christo, you had a migraine yesterday, and you were not feeling well. I'm glad you toughed it out, man. You're a trooper, man.
Oh yeah, I get them pretty severe. When they come, they really come.
Microdosing has helped me a lot with those, to be honest.
Yeah, even that blunt didn't help.
Oh well, that's only because I took it too late. It was already a full-blown migraine at that point. Believe it or not, sometimes if I feel a migraine coming in, and I don't know, sometimes if I smoke, it'll subside it or keep it from coming. Sometimes it'll make it a little worse, you know. It's 50-50, but
Right.
by that point, it was a little too late. When I get migraines, it feels like a knife to my brain.
Sometimes
Awful.
cannabis will help my cluster headache.
Okay, I gotta get going, guys. Enjoy your night.
Have a good
and
night,
I will
Sue.
talk to
Sue,
you.
thank you. You're the best, Sue. Thank you.
Good night.
Rest
Hi,
well.
Sue.
Have a good night.
So yeah, last night was amazing. Bongholio made an appearance, and it was interesting to see what they would do at Bongholio because they're not allowing masks. They kicked you out 5 times for your mask. Patel wore a mask. He wore a health mask, quote, health mask, which is the bigger costume. It's a bigger costume.
That wasn't even a real COVID mask. That thing was like covering fucking 3/4 of his face.
It's ridiculous.
Where do you even find those? The COVID masks that I were getting were this big. They barely covered half of my lip. I mean, I got a big lip, but it's not that big. You know what I mean? Like, it barely covered my lip and my chin. I had to literally keep tugging that sucker down. He barely had to move it once. Where do you get that at?
So yeah, we made a spectacle of the Edison Council because they made a spectacle of themselves by denying you your First Amendment rights, kicking you out of the meeting. And I'm glad you're going to sue them now. I'm glad you're finally going to file that tort claim and sue their ass and get them to allow us to have masks and move they took away the cameras from the podium so they can't see us speaking anymore. Like, what are they doing?
I'm getting a wicked echo feedback, just a heads up. That's why I'm pointing at my ear.
Oh,
Even worse, when they harassed El Rampador, because I'll tell you this: for many years, I grew up. I love you, Lefty. I would watch you. I would watch Weedman. I would watch Bongholio and so many other people. Just the fact that I meet you guys and know you on a first name basis is amazing. No,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I couldn't agree more with that at all. To a T. Couldn't agree more. You took the words out of my mouth, literally.
Thank you. It means a lot because a lot of people don't like it, and I'm glad. And when people love it, I'm loving it with you because it works. This stuff works. Bongholio works. He shows up, and what are they going to do to him? That's a bigger spectacle than any mask. So now what? You got a puppet show. You got Bongholio without a mask. You got El Rampador. You got Christo with the anonymous mask. You got Steve with anonymous. It was a shit show.
yeah. Bongholio doesn't just have not a mask; he has the exact opposite of a mask. The only thing you see is his face. He masks his entire body, not his arms. So it's like you couldn't be more opposite.
Yeah. Now what?
You know, this
Now
must
what,
be it must be exactly what they want, though, right?
That's what they want. That's their in their guidelines. That's
You
in their
got his
guidelines.
face, you know. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I haven't watched. I have that saved for probably a little later on tonight. You know, it's sort of like when I see that and I get a taste of it, I'm thinking, okay, this is not what I want to. I can't give it my full attention. And so I'm glad you're talking about it because that's something I'm going to be taking up now because it's proper and I'm in the right mood, and I won't be like having anything else pull at me because I want to see that beginning to end. You know, when I read the team, that's there. I want to enjoy it. I want to be able to stop it and laugh about it for a second. You know, because like when it's as good as I know it's going to be, it's, you know, I don't like overlapping enjoyment as much as cutting it off and fully enjoying something and then going on to even better shit afterwards, you know. And now I get to hear Phil Murphy swear.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, that's, you know, well, I'm all too familiar with the with the voice, but yeah, I'll tell you, you all, yeah, quite a crew right here, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, like he was just saying, Crystal was saying, like I was watching Lefty back when Lefty was like before Sativa Cross, like when he was just doing things on his own, running around as Lefty Edward Grimes, and even before he became El Rampador, before he got the mask, that's I was like, oh shit. So like, to like do things alongside Lefty now, and like, you know.
Well, he's one of the
Him
few.
on a first name basis, and you as well. It's just like, damn, what an accomplishment in my life. Like, what the fuck? What did I do right to come and get, you know, meet these super important figures in this realm of fucking world? You know what I mean? Like, what?
Lefty
like I said,
Lefty goes back long enough that he's one of the few people that I know that met Cheryl. You know, I mean, and she's been gone 21 years. So
yeah, I remember when when I first started like checking out Lefty shit was like 2010 when I first became a medical card patient holder. Like when I was looking into getting it, so 2012 maybe. 12? No, I want to say 14. Sorry, no, longer than that. Before I moved to Oregon, I got to figure that out. Now it's gonna bother me.
really,
yeah, it's gonna bother me because I know it's been a long fucking time. Because that's how I learned about you was when Lefty was like doing the protesting with you and stuff before, like I said, before you guys formed the Sativa Crosses, before you guys put the name to it. You know what I mean?
He formed Sativa Cross. You know, he just hijacked me last year.
I know.
They made me an offer I could not refuse.
Right.
Anyway, that was I'm a good fit with Sativa Cross. You know.
Where my wallet at? Now it's gonna bother me. I gotta find out what fucking year. No, it was before like 2014.
Yeah.
Lefty froze. I don't know what the hell happened.
As you can see, I'm having problems with the stream, so I'm gonna have to just fix it. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Everything's still working. I just can't see myself.
We can't see you either.
Uh-huh. Well, if you can't see yourself and we can't see you.
I'm remote. I'm on the remote feed now.
Yeah, actually, even the original feed is like has an hourglass.
Weird. Yeah, I gotta fix that.
It's got like a round hourglass going around in circles.
Yeah, technical stuff can't help you.
Technical shit. You're good.
We're back.
I gotta mute myself though.
Okay, yeah, so that was pretty amazing. Let me see if I can play that video. I was trying to play the video of Bongholio going through the metal detector. I love when he goes through the metal detector. They did that to him in Brick. He had to go through the metal detector, and he had to do it here now. It's hilarious. What are they looking for?
What I find so fucking hilarious about him going through the metal detector is that little jump he does at the end, trying to get up out of it because he has to crouch and then jump up. I'm like, it looks like Super Mario Brothers, just like just increasing in size, just coming out of the metal detector.
That's crazy.
Man. I'm just stoned. Sorry.
No, that's, you know, that is kind of amazing. You know, it is quite a crew. That is funny.
Yeah, what are they looking for? They're
Yeah,
wandering.
where are they looking?
They're going up and down the bong with the metal detector. And then they get the baby. Who's going to grab the baby? Oh no, wait, we have to check the baby. And now they start wanding the baby. They look in the hole with the flashlight.
Oh, that's
Okay, baby. The bong has been cleared. And here he is walking into the council meeting. And this is amazing. This is
that's
great.
funny. It's fast, sped up like that.
And here he is with the baby. He's got his agenda. Bong Julio's got his agenda. And here I do an upskirt or an up stem.
Yeah, I saw that.
He was wearing nothing underneath there. That was funny. He was waiting for them to take it off. Like if he had to take it off.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it off.
I would have been literally commando, just a t-shirt on. What's up,
Hilarious.
dog?
Yeah.
You trying to check out my package? What's up? Trying to see what the fucking fuss is about?
Yeah, see, the thing is, though, Lefty, what was it? How long ago was it they told you the mask, take it off? You got to take it off. And you said, okay. Now he's back there. What are they going to tell him? You got to take it off. Wait a second. Let's rethink that. You know, I mean,
yeah.
You know, I mean, if they look what they got with you, that would be kind of funny if they. Okay.
Hey, Lefty.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
sorry. Whenever you get a chance, can you play Pat's video?
Okay, let me find it.
I must have watched it 10 times, Jim. I loved it when he put on the puppet and they were asking him to leave and the puppet said no. I must have watched that a million times today, brother.
It's on his Instagram, right?
Oh.
He has the Rabble Rouser YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, I can find that.
It's
Yeah.
on YouTube. Okay, let me check his Instagram first.
Just type in Rabble
Yeah.
Rouser.
This is all right. Hold on. This is not the video. Hold on. Yeah, let me get this. If you have a link, send me the link, but I'll look it up.
Okay, I'll find it and send it on Facebook.
Let's see. YouTube, Rabble Rouser.
Yeah, it'll come right up.
Rabble Rouser. Is this it? Let's see. Pat Duff is amazing. He's done so much.
Again, that was like a pretty all-star team you all had out there. It really was.
No, this is not him.
It has a dog on it. What you got to do is you got to filter and go to the channel. But I'm gonna send it to you right now. On the I'll send it to you through the Facebook.
Yeah, I'll get it here. Yeah, there's a lot of good video from that night. I mean, you had Bong Julio playing a song and getting kicked out. They were gonna kick me out. I was going, disability rights are human rights. Disability. I was singing the national anthem of disability rights, and the one guy, the pencil neck geek looking guy, told me that was repetitive and I wasn't allowed to do that. So he actually didn't allow me to sing my song about disability rights. Like, what is that? What kind of energy is that?
That was personal, I felt like.
Yeah, it was like some personal shit.
Technically, it wasn't repetitive.
I'm gonna make it not repetitive. I'm gonna put his name in my song now with some.
But it
harmony.
was a musical anthem, so it was part of the lyrics.
It was a 4/4 beat.
Yeah,
It's not a final version, is it?
No, we're gonna work on that now.
Tell me you're still working on. No, because the idea of, you could come up with something like really amazing, perfect. Disability rights or human rights. Yeah. A lot of stuff could rhyme with rights. I don't know.
Let's see. Rabble Rouser. Where else can I find Rabble Rouser on YouTube? I'm trying to find it. I don't see it.
Go to his Facebook page.
Check the Facebook messages I sent in the group chat.
Yeah. Go right to his page. Go to Pat Duff's Facebook page. I'm guessing he might have something on that.
What you got to do to find the rabble rouser, you type in the rabble rouser in the search link, but then you also have to go into you got to filter it out with the channels.
You talking about
Search by
Facebook?
channel.
No, on the YouTube.
You got to search by channel, not video.
But I also sent it in the group chat, the link on Facebook too.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see it here. It's not here in the group. It's not here in the chat. Send it to
Sure.
Facebook or
It's odd because, like, to be a rabble rouser, it should be real easy to find right now. You know, come on, Pat, you're letting us down. You should have it in such a position where we
There it
bounce
is.
off it like a cue
I
ball.
got it.
You got it?
You don't sound sure.
He has a picture of what looks like a bulldog.
You don't have the body language of somebody that's sure.
Patrick Duff.
Yeah, the body language is unsure.
And I'm a First Amendment activist. The city attorney probably knows my name. I've sued many cities, and I've won every single one of them. Mostly Oprah lawsuits. At Tabernacle, I don't know if you heard about what happened in Tabernacle, the town hall, but the mayor, the deputy mayor, the administrator, and the engineer, who, by the way, was a chemical engineer, who said the building was going to fall down. Well, they've all been removed from office to my work. So you don't want me at your council meetings. Trust me, you don't want me here. The reason why I'm here is because I don't just file tort claim notices. I sue the hell out of you. So you can kiss my ass. If you remove me with the police, you can be sure you'll be making the next movie. I'm a film producer. I just did Who Killed Les Crane, whokilledlescrane.com. And let me ask you, Administrator, do you have the authority to put the camera on me, please? Can you, Mr. Patel, can you please remove the costume mask? Because that mask you have is the biggest costume mask we've ever seen in the world. That does nothing. Can you please remove your mask? Officers, can you remove Mr. Patel? Can you please remove Mr. Patel? He's wearing a costume mask, and he just had Krista removed from the building for doing the same thing. Sir, what are you wearing that for? Why are you wearing that? You look like an idiot. You look like an idiot with it on. And you all look like idiots for taking transparency away and not showing the public. Now it's going to be everywhere. I mean, this is going to be thousands and thousands of views online because we're making a spectacle of it because you have removed somebody who has a First Amendment right. First of all, what does the mask do to you? How does that hurt you? Can anybody answer that? No answers? Okay. Mr. Patel, does it bother you? Does it bother you? And here you are wearing a silly costume mask. Do you believe that that mask can help you do anything except for cover up, just like you're doing to the public here by not showing the public? This sucks. Can I borrow your mask? Because if you remove me, no, you know what, first I gotta bring somebody out.
Oh, yes.
Well, let me be clear. This is Governor Phil Murphy. I am here to give a message to the Edison Council. You fucking suck. You suck. And if you're removed, Patrick Duff, he will sue the mighty balls off this city till you can't have any redevelopment agencies anymore. And I'm going to Oprah your phone records to get the camera view from that side because council people who use their devices during meetings can be Oprah. Will you just forward the thing over to my residents? Tammy will accept it. Thank you very much. As your great governor, the First Amendment is very fucking important. And if you remove somebody for using their First Amendment, they can sue the big balls off of you. And that's just what's going to happen. I'm not being removed. I'm cursing. I'm not being removed. Can you remove your mask, please?
Sir, can you pause the time? Just take this as a warning. If you keep the mask on, you will be removed.
If you keep the mask, how about we do it together?
Sir,
Can we remove the mask together?
officer, can you please remove him?
If you remove it, you're gonna get sued big time. Don't touch me. Nobody touch me. Nobody touch me. You suck. You fucking all suck. Not all of you. You're pretty cool. I like you.
He's all right.
I don't. And I'm not leaving the building. Here, am I okay to stay?
Troopers. Can, if you want to continue without your little half.
Well, can't you take your silly mask off? Dude, that is a more costume mask than this. Let's be honest here. I mean, are you Anthony Fauci? You know, they call him Phony Fauci, because he's a phony. Just like, listen.
Oh my god, that reminds me of Half Baked. So
happy
good.
To help Christo sue you now. He's filed all these tort claim notices. I said, well, why don't you file an actual lawsuit? So I'm going to write it for him. I'm going to give it to him for free, and he's going to file it against you. And I want to do it too. So just have him remove me, please. Please remove me. Is this under threat of arrest? Am I being removed under threat of arrest? No. Not set out.
Council rules, that's all.
Excuse me?
For violating, being removed for violating.
What rule? Can you please point of privilege? Point of privilege, what rule?
Sir, it's been explained to you.
No.
What's the rule?
Yes, officer, please remove him.
For what? 1 minute left. Yeah, I got 1 minute left. Come on, don't touch me. I don't have a mask on. He's got a mask on. He's got a mask on. You can't just take one out. Let me ask you a question.
Officer, please remove him.
Is this under threat of arrest? I'm asking.
For violating council chamber rules.
What rule? Nobody's stating a
For
rule.
keeping the mask on.
What rule is that? Can you state the rule?
Decorum.
The decorum? But what does the rule state? That's very important, because that's what law is words. So what do the words say that allow you to remove me?
Sir.
23 seconds left. Only 23 seconds. Come on, don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm the last one you want to touch. Dude, I sue everybody. I'm very, very good at it. Don't even need a lawyer for it.
That's one of my favorite phrases telling a cop or any counsel or a judge. I've got fucking lawyer money. Do you really want to go that route?
Hold on. He's being removed.
So am I being thrown out if I don't take it off? Okay, awesome. So I already sent you guys short claims for violations for Zoom.
Amazing.
At Floret.
Amazing.
Yo, hit him one time with the ew brother. The counsel.
Brother,
What's that?
What's that, brother?
Are you feeling mad?
You made me cough up my dad.
I about lost it when he put the mask back on and now you couldn't see his mouth moving.
Yeah, I died laughing when I saw that. I was like, it looks like a ventriloquist.
The hand puppet, and it looked.
It really worked.
It looked very professional once he put the mask on. And, it's like, holy crap, he's good.
Oh man, that was a hit job.
Yeah.
I can't wait for him to fucking sue the shit out of him.
Oh, wow.
We're going to Saraville next week. So Saraville, here we come.
Nice.
Same deal.
So what about next? Is Edison off the hook now? How's this working out?
I need to go back and sing my song. My song was interrupted, so I'm going back.
How often do they meet?
Every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, yeah.
That's what I thought. I got to tell you, you've made their life interesting now. This is one of the old days for them down the road. Oh, you remember back? It'll be you guys.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, I lost it last night when Christoph was like, I don't want to say threatening them, but
Yeah, that was just on every angle was great.
It was just like when he said we can come to your home address if that's where you want to discuss it. And it's just like, oh, my man. I was like, that's yeah,
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, because they're public service, they're civil servants, so their addresses should be public, from what I know. Should be able to publicly easy find that, with the simple background check.
Well, from my own experience, I know that I got away with going to a congressman's house. And Long Branch Police said, okay.
It's freedom of speech at the end of the day.
Well, they made the right move.
Freedom of speech, it's your right to protest.
Yeah. Well, they did, it's a two-part thing. I mean, I acquiesced the night before because dark they can't see and fear for life and property, and I thought good. Then they gave me a reason, parameters. So that's when I explained, well, then in the morning, I'm coming back. When I told them I'd be mic'd for sound and being videoed from across the street, which I was, Pete Christopher. And yeah, it was memorable. But, I also was the most benign I could be. I never even looked at the house. There wasn't people going by to engage. So when I turned like a slow figure 8 and go is 28 steps, because it was not a real wide property, but it was turned away. I mean, the idea that I was there really got under his skin, so.
Hey guys, I want to thank CMMNJ. I want to thank Canasense, UFCW, Jackson Storm, Smoking Monkey, Arlo Glass, OprahMachine.com, Mad Hatter Dispo here in Avenel, and SativaCross.org, where you can donate to our organization at SativaCross.org. Thank you for a wonderful evening, gentlemen, ladies, everyone. I'm going to make you feel like shit now, because these are all our friends and family who are dead now because of idiot politicians not legalizing this plant soon enough for us. So all these people suffered and died needlessly. I'm going to start with Cheryl. And she fought. She went down swinging. Cheryl was one of the few that really fought for us to have legal cannabis today.
27 years ago today. 27 years ago, October 10th at 10:10, 1997, we did that. Civil disobedience in front of the State House announced in the Star Ledger that we would be doing such a thing. And it was that test. He's tired of people saying, well, it's never been proven to work in clinical tests. They haven't proven it to work. And while on the other hand, being denied the testing material from the federal government, the shell game. But anyway, 27 years ago, that's a long time.
The old shell game.
Yeah. It's like
they play political football. They do the political football too. I like that one.
It's like to say it hasn't been tested while denying the material for the testing, saying it would jeopardize the supply for more legitimate studies. That is a shell game. That would be like Nick Scutari saying we're not having a hearing because there's no interest in it. But wait, it's the hearing that stimulates the interest. That's it. You can't do that. So anyway, that I just say it was 27 years ago. There's always those dates that when I on that day I get very introspective and pensive and remember what it was like. And it was a grand day. Ever see a hospital bed outside before? Somebody in a hospital bed, not just outside on a gurney. That was a hospital bed. It was really grand looking, right in front of the pillars of the State House that day, with state police refusing to study the alleged Schedule 1 tincture being used. Imagine that, foil the first test by not doing your job and say it's against the law, but we're not going to verify what you say it is. Yeah. Anyway,
Next on our list is Sabina,
no.
Diane, Gracie, Cindy Mae, Marie, Jack, Joan Ford, Randy, Polly, Bill, Chad, Jeremy, Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger, Jay, Ella, Hattie, Jackie, Anthony, Jake, Armando, Felicia, Lynn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorne, Frank and Lorraine, Terry, Charlotte, Cher, Jaybird, Michael, Marley, Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lulu, Becky, Lawanda, Chip, Paul, Lisa, Marcus, Gary, and Jeff.
Oh, motherfucker.
Man, it's a long list. Man, it's hurtful list. But it's hopeful. There's going to be hope for us down the road. We have to hold on to the hope and be helpful to others. Be hopeful and helpful to others. That's one of the secrets of life, is to be helpful to others. Be a good egg like that guy Patil and the other guy Bushler, whatever his name is, Reschler. They're good eggs. I like those guys. Be a good egg in life. That's my advice to you. Be a good egg. And I'm out of here. Thank you all for joining us, Christo. Everybody, Bear, Paco, Jim.
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming at us, and I really appreciate it. And one thing I wanted to say before, I was upset what we did with messing with El Rampador, because I'm an El Rampador fan, and he stands up. He's a superhero for marijuana activism, disability rights, and you don't tell a superhero. Batman doesn't take off his mask.
I have a surprise under my mask. I don't mind. Secret
Hey,
weapon
what's
under
up,
there.
Bear? What's up, Paco? What's up, Jim? Good to see you guys. Happy to be on the show with you guys.
I hope they're looking up Milky Liquor right now. I hope they had to go do a deep dive on the Jerky Boys and look up Milky Liquor. And I realized what a Milky Liquor is. It's someone who takes a Milky Way off the shelf, licks it, and put it back. That's a thing. I didn't know.
I don't need to know that.
I wonder if they lick it like the textured side, you know what I mean? Like veiny side of it, you know? Or they lick the smooth side of it, you know what I mean? Bear's like, what the fuck?
Almost all the way through the show. Almost all the way through it at this moment.
Edison Council definitely licks the veiny side first.
Yeah. On that note, we're out of here.
Yeah.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.